So to know someone is not to know them by name, but to know them intimately. And that's what Jesus said. There'll be those that don't know him intimately. I don't care what you're doing. If in the kingdom of God, you can be casting out devils, doing all these other things. But if you don't know him, there's also the other side of this. Depart from you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. So there must be a pattern that God has given us that we might know him. Because Paul says, his desire in Philippians chapter 3, verse 10, I think it is. You can jot it down. I want to know him, the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his suffering. That was the whole life of Paul, to know him. And not just know him, but know him intimately. Now, when I started teaching this message a number of years ago, people looked at me like, we're nuts. Well, it's okay. Because now they understand what I'm really saying. A whole lot of them do that didn't understand it then. Because this whole tabernacle, if it doesn't bring you into a more intimate relationship with the Lord, you're never going to get to the glory room. You've got to stop at that table, because that table is where your intimacy begins. Got a pencil and paper? Write down the word first. In the Greek, it is protos. It's what our word prototype comes from. It's when nothing exists like it. In other words, it's the highest form of whatever it is. It's of most importance. That the word protos means. That's which carries the most significant weight over above all else. And so the word protos here, you couple that with the word where it says first love. The word love there is agape. But in this sense, go back and check it. You can do it in a simple concordance, Strong's Concordance. Go back and check it, and you will find out that the word agape means love feast. That's what communion was called in the early church, was the love feast. They hadn't turned their back on Jesus. They had left their protos agape. That which was most important was the establishing of communion. That was, Jesus thought it was so important to establish that. That was the last thing he did with the disciples before he was executed. And you'll find it's the first thing he does when he gets up out of the grave. Now, if you put that together, wait a minute, what was the last thing he did? That must have been most important. What's the thing he did when he got up out of the grave? First thing he does, he has communion.